A procedurally generated world with infinite replayability, a survival system in a setting entirely unique to gamers, and an Orwellian tale of drugs, mind control, and peer pressure, all wrapped up with a groovy 1960s backdrop. This was the promise of We Happy Few, a game whose marketing swept the world by storm. So why was there so much quiet after release? What really happened in Wellington Wells? We Happy Few was made by Compulsion Games, a small game studio in Montreal that was only previously known for Contrast, a small puzzle platform game with mixed reception at the time. They unveiled info about their new game at PAX 2015, and social media absolutely blew up. Comparisons to BioShock, an action FPS that had parallels to a crumbling utopian society, popped up everywhere, and social media stars quickly latched onto what they thought would be the next big thing. The game looked gorgeous already, and so when a Kickstarter was made to fund the project, a second wind rally of the community boosted it above and beyond with talk, hype, and showings of gameplay and endless speculation of the yet-to-be-designed story behind this incredibly ambitious, procedurally generated world. I can't emphasize enough that this game is so pretty, y'all. It is easy to look at it and not worry about what it didn't have yet, story, direction, a large staff base, etc., and just let all caution fly out the window when looking at the promise that this game had front and center. After that, things started happening in rapid fire. Microsoft came along, interested in the new product and offering Compulsion Games a seat at E3 2016. Right after that, at the Rat Pinata scene showcased at E3, Gearbox came with a publishing deal, able to push the game's hype to wildly high levels for a studio the scope and size of this tiny post-recession company. All of this brought Compulsion funding, opportunity, and the realization that getting more hype than one could deliver on could have disastrous results. But just realizing this wouldn't be enough. On a more personal note, I distinctly remember this time and the sheer amount of hype surrounding the game. I was following it like a hawk. It looked incredible. The story seemed intense, the thought of a survival sim set in an urban environment looked absolutely incredible, and it pulled me right in. I and many, many others waited for bated breath for this game to finally release. And then, in August 2018, it did. Then, silence. Let me be perfectly clear and a bit off the cuff before I get back to my script. I loved this game. It was so much fun after I bought it to just run around and see all the wacky hijinks that all these little characters got into. It truly felt like a fun indie experience. But the fun of it isn't exactly the issue here. It's what went so wrong, why things were so poorly managed expectation-wise, and why it ended up flopping. The game built up an idea. All of its marketing, everything it had going for it, tried to tell us what this game was: Orwellian, terrifying, oppressive, a clever mix of comedy and horror to really mash together and create a comprehensive narrative, while at the same time being a completely replayable randomized world. It built this idea, but it tells us about its idea. It doesn't show its idea, it just tries to push it over and over again with enough slight bits of lore to tell you, no, really, this is how the game is. But it doesn't take all of the narrative opportunities that a video game medium provides to show you that fact. By focusing on what was promised, the game delivered anything but. We were promised an immersive world full of the horrors of post-German occupation Britain, and it ended up becoming a kind of comedic, random, silly romp. Humorous as it can be at times, broken up by a well-written, if a bit jarring, serious horror story. It was good in its own way, but the fact that this wasn't as advertised and hyped weakened the blow considerably. I will say, when the story is good though, it's good. The first two acts are incredible. I admit I found the third weakest of the three of them. And the second one even has one of my favorite concepts of all in the survival game. An upkeep task that doesn't fail if you're not fast enough to take care of it, but your lingering anxiety over getting it done, if you let it sit, gives you debuffs that turn into a survival mechanic that's more than just a simple pass versus fail. Unfortunately, the bugs are also a huge issue, and the game devs know about that one and have copped to it in their documentary, The Cost of Joy. They're really bad, honestly. And it's what you would expect, again, of an indie game studio, but that is not what people expected when they went and played this game, especially after getting its Microsoft backing and seeing it at E3. It ended up getting AAA status, with never being able to live up to AAA expectations. All in all, if the price tag isn't so jarring to you, I would recommend you give this game a play. if only just for the fun of the story and a way to just get around and have a bit of fun. I personally can't really stick to the procedurally generated areas because I think they're the weakest part of the entire game, but at least getting point to point in the story gives a slightly good narrative that you can follow along to its inevitable, difficult, and very sad conclusion. So how do you feel about We Happy Few? When did you first hear of it? Did it measure up to any expectations you may have had? Please let me know in the comments below, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.